Watch the entire video, my lovely viewers, to get the whole thing. Without wasting much of your time, let's get right into it.
This is DJ Mutati exclusive.
Hi lovely viewers, it's me again, your one and only Mutati Mpundu. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time on my channel, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel by hitting the subscribe button down below. Turn the bell icon to join the notification squad. Don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment. Tell me what you think about this video in the comment section below. I'll be super glad to hear from you lovely viewers.
Good day and welcome to today's broadcast. We are grateful that you're joining us. Today we are privileged to host Zambia Must Prosper President Kelvin Waliafuwe, popularly known as KBF. He will outline his vision for this country, his role in bringing the opposition together, and you also take time to look at the various crises that is facing our country, which is necessitating the people of Zambia to look up to the opposition as a group that should emancipate them. Can the opposition unseat President Hakainde Hichilema and the UPND? Today we feature KBF, wonderful, Honorable KBF Kelvin Fuwebwalia. I'm privileged to host you for the second time. We will not go into details of what makes KBF. I'll refer to my audience to a special podcast I had with Honorable KBF. His upbringing from Mufulira, you know, the times, his life and times in Mufulira at the University of Zambia and his professional career. We dealt with that matter very extensively. So today we'll just deal with the actual facts. Honorable KBF, welcome and thank you for according us an opportunity to host you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Ambassador, and good evening, viewers.
Thank you very much. Honorable KBF, we have various crises in our country, economic, social, political, whatever it is, whether any sector you look at appears to be in crisis. 4 years on, President Hakainde Hichilema doesn't look like he has any solution to our country. I have seized this opportunity to be with you to see, as Zambians are looking towards and forward to the alternative, can you be the alternative? Can the opposition provide an alternative? But before we go, on 5th June 2025, we lost Zambia's 6th president, a friend of yours, Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu. The sad part is the matter is not concluded. While the president's soul may, be reposed with the Lord, he still hasn't been, his remains hasn't been put to rest, and it's a matter of serious concern. Let's just briefly start with the issue around the late president, Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu. What are your thoughts and what are your condolences and what do you think should be done?
Well, sincere condolences again to the entire country of Zambia, and specifically to Vamayo Vaesa Lungu and the family of the late president, the children, friends, and political acquaintances, and indeed all those that loved the 6th Republican president. Indeed, it is still very sad that as a nation, we still cannot conclude this issue of the burial of the late president. It is unfortunate, and now it is turning out to be a very serious international embarrassment. But I might add that it is also becoming a scandal in view of the recent happenings, more so with revelations by the so-called opposition leader, Robert Chaminga, Honorable, basically confessing and admitting to a scandalous adventure a criminal enterprise to try, if not to bribe, a foreign judge in a foreign country. Yet, this, according to him, in this leaked audio, was instigated, initiated by our own president here. And I say this based on the leaked audio. You cannot have a president of a country looking for a particular individual in the name of Robert Chaminga, calling him after 23 hours in the night for over 13 times, the director of intelligence calling Robert Chaminga over 30 times for him to go and conduct clandestine criminal activity, according to his own confession, on that leaked audio, in a foreign country. That is unacceptable and totally unbecoming of us as a nation. And I say as a nation because Chaminga kept referring to State House, naming the president, and naming the director of intelligence as being the operatives behind this clandestine activity. Now let me speak legally, Ambassador, here.
Yes.
When we look at criminal enterprise, this is Criminal Law 101. Section 21, 22 of our penal code here lists a principal offender, an associate offender, and indeed an accessory to a crime.
Yeah.
In this particular case, we have Chaminga saying that he's being sent on a clandestine criminal enterprise initiated by State House, controlled by Friday Nyambe, Director of Intelligence, and he has to go and operate in a foreign country. He calls it a very serious mission. Criminally speaking, and I'm saying Criminal Law 101,
Yeah.
anybody involved in this clandestine criminal enterprise is a criminal, because we have a principal offender, an accessory before the fact, and an accessory after the fact. That's the problem we have here. And I'm speaking legally. According to Chaminga, in his own confession, talking to a minister here in Zambia, Mwamba Dorin, Minister of Community, he's telling the minister how he was employed to go into a foreign country and commit an offense. In his own words, Vajaji ku South Africa vafulio kudia. In other words, I should corrupt the judge in the case Yavalungu. Now, Chaminga can go and try and deny this, blame it on AI, and every nonsense that he can come up with.
Yeah.
Let me tell the Zambian people, I know Robert Chaminga. That is his voice. I know Doreen Mwamba, the Minister of Community. That is her voice. We are not children here. Chaminga was confessing to committing a crime initiated by our own government. Why isn't he arrested? I have given you the sections 21 and section 22 of the Penal Code. Criminal activities and principal offenders, associates and accomplices are named as to how you associate to a crime. And I am saying, in this particular enterprise, our government according to Chaminga's own words, is involved in criminal enterprise. That is beyond embarrassment. That is beyond the Vienna Convention. No, Chaminga must be immediately arrested for the criminal that he is. Chaminga Mwacho and Robert, utekanye sana. You are now crossing the boundaries of politics. This is not politics. This is criminality. If you are Puwata to the fire, we should stop embarrassing this country. It's gone on too far. The Director of Intelligence, Friday Nyambe, your job is not to ensure that citizens of this country go and commit offenses in another country. Who told you that that is why we've made you Director of Intelligence? Fionse fifile chitika. All these happenings are very, very damaging to this country. But Ambassador, we are beyond redemption in the region in terms of embarrassment, in terms of insult and scandal. It is beyond explanation. Why should our own president, according to Chaminga, instigate a citizen in the name of Robert Chaminga to go to South Africa? In the audio, for those that have listened to this audio, I'm speaking legally here as a criminal lawyer. Chaminga says, when he was asked on the plane by those going to the funeral whether he was going to attend the funeral, he said no. He lied. He said, I am going to go to Cape Town to attend to a child who had a fractured leg. Avepa, which means he was covering up his own criminal intentions because of the instructions he was given on his special mission. We are not going to be fooled. Those details can only come from a person who was given clear instructions on what he's supposed to do and how he's supposed to execute those instructions. He says further, I told Friday, Mwintumina Transport, when I arrived in South Africa, I did not want the Zambian embassy officials to pick me up because it was going to raise suspicion. All this points to criminality, meaning this was a clandestine operation, so that Chaminga has got access to go and play what he terms now his mingalato with the judiciary in South Africa. How embarrassing can we, as a nation, suffer such indignation, such stupidity? Ukutumpo kwa pulamo, ukusebanye chalo cha Zambia. Uku ekutumpa. Uku Chaminga ekutumpa. And all those that are part of this criminal enterprise must be arrested, including Friday Nyambe, because he was the one who was giving the last minute instructions. According to his own audio, this so-called leader of opposition was receiving instructions from our Director of Intelligence. The Director of Intelligence had already received instructions, according to him, from State House. Because State House had been calling Chaminga for 13 times whilst he was asleep. Now, in law, there can be no serious evidence against a criminal than his own confession. Chaminga has confessed to a crime. Why is he not being arrested? Why is Chaminga roaming the streets of Zambia? Why is Chaminga even being given the opportunity to address the press, trying to defeat his own audio, when we know this is a cover-up because they've been caught pants down. I was in South Africa. I went for the purported burial. We were in the cathedral, that beautiful Roman Catholic cathedral in Berea, waiting for the body of the late 6th Republican president. The Archbishop of Lusaka Diocese had flown to South Africa. Like 2,000 plus other Zambians had flown and driven, plus those of the diaspora who came to join us there, plus the Lungu family. Only to learn in the recent past that Chaminga was playing imingalato. Kutumpa kwa msango shani huko. Now, how do we trust the proceedings that are going on in South Africa? Because Chaminga is saying, whatever the outcome there, he has played his mingalato. Now here's the catch. He says the intention is not even to win the case, let alone the financial, emotional inconvenience to the family and the Zambians at large, but to clean up Hakainde Hichilema as an individual. Let me warn the president of this country. Hakainde Hichilema, boy, I pray you're not involved in this. Because this now goes beyond just breaching the constitution of this country. You cannot be involved in criminal enterprise simply because you're enjoying immunity. It is wrong. And as a nation, we have given you the mandate to run the affairs of this country, not to keep embarrassing us and to be involved in criminal enterprises. That is not why you were elected. I repeat, I pray you are not involved in this thing. So I want to speak to our Zambians and say they must dismiss the press briefing held by my young brother, Robert Chaminga, Honorable, claiming that this was AI. We are not fools. Robert, I know you. I know your voice. I know how you speak. I know your tonations. And I know when you're speaking, niwebo walelanda, we are tumpa. And don't think we are fools. Honorable Doreen Mwamba, you are an accessory to that offense because Chaminga confessed a crime to you and you did not report him to law enforcement. You too are part of that criminal enterprise. You also must be arrested. Ngani mwewe Doreen Mwamba, you don't even enjoy immunity. You're not a president. You're just a minister. Who tells you a minister cannot be arrested? Who tells you that? This power that you are enjoying, don't abuse it. Because I can warn you now. Next year, come August next year, when we kick you out of power, you know where you're going. Friday Nyambe, you as an individual, as director of intelligence, your job is not to commit offenses, is to conduct intelligence for this country, not criminality. You also an accessory before the fact. Bamwamba, you are an accessory after the fact. Because he was telling you of having committed an offense. In his own words, Chaminga says, Ndimurumpano, I'm still in South Africa. I have just finished Mingalato. What is that Mingalato? What did Chaminga finish? Because in his own words, he was saying, Jaja Fidio Kudia. Meaning he traveled to South Africa to go and corrupt a judge in a foreign country. The law, by ambassador,
Yes,
fellow
sir.
Zambians,
Yes.
is that any crime committed outside the country of Zambia, as long as it is also an offense in Zambia, it is prosecutable here, although it is committed outside, because you're a Zambian citizen. That's the law. That's the law. A Zambian cannot commit an offense, which is also an offense here, and think he can escape because he's outside the country. No, he must be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. This leaked audio has sent shivers, and I shudder to think about how Bamayowa Esther, the children, the Lungu family at large, are feeling. Because the people who are being named in the audio are people we all know here in Lusaka, here in Zambia. The people Chaminga met on the plane, they have confirmed they saw him on the plane on that day. So it can't be AI. Katulif Puba, I hope this warning goes out to anyone in government who thinks that they can hide under the authority of government. We shall not allow you to embarrass the nation of Zambia any more than you have done thus far. This stops here. And I'm sounding this warning. It's a friendly warning. The law will visit you. Mark my words. The law shall visit you, whether it is today or tomorrow. Umulanduta ubola. A criminal offense has no time of limitation. No statute of limitation can protect you against criminal enterprise. So go and get your best lawyer, Chaminga. Go and get your best lawyer, Doreen Mwamba. Go and get your best lawyer, Friday Nyambe. You three do not enjoy immunity. Just know that.
Thank you, Mr. President. And you've put it very succinctly that these crimes were not only local, but they were also international. And also the role of, a personality like the Director General of Intelligence who's supposed to guide. He cannot export crimes in another country. That's espionage. He cannot conduct malign activities using elements like Chaminga in another country. These are very, very serious matters. In other jurisdictions, the president,
serious.
in the glare of these facts, who just resign. And you have put it very succinctly. For Robert Chaminga, Mr. President, there is even no justification. I think he sensed that the audio was out there, and he conducted a preemptive press conference. And at this press conference, it was even worse because he was threatening to conduct armed robbery. You must have heard where he was saying, I hear someone has received $1.5 million, who go into their home, who do an armed robbery and who get this money. He's threatening the people of Mfue that whoever wear the PF regalia, that the Inspector General of Police must stand aside because he's going to unleash untold violence to whoever wear PF regalia. So you have a guy who's proposing to commit further crimes and is roaming the street, being praised as leader of the opposition by the president. Do you have any thoughts about this matter before we go to another
The difficulty, let me just wind up, Ambassador, and it's a good thing you've mentioned the by-election in Mfue. The difficulty we have with Robert Chaminga specifically is that he has turned out to be a rogue element who is now being used by the ruling party. Can you imagine terminology that he's using in the audio? He wants us to believe that AI can believe and sound and pronounce mwana wa kwitu. Huh? That this is not time to sleep, mwana wa kwitu. I mean, nonsense like that. But over this threat that he issued over Mfuwe, Robert Chaminga, let me tell you, I have known your history for a very long time, and you know that I know you. In fact, 3/4 of your past is lined up in criminal activity. Just here, near my offices, when you were purporting to liquidate the Post newspaper, you know what you did. You know what you did. And how many things and how many wrong activities you did there. So you must be very careful that some of these things do not revisit you. You must be very, very careful, Robert. Even that position you're holding as leader of the opposition, you know it is a fake position. You don't deserve that position. You're there simply because the government is protecting you. Like you said in your audio, after your sleep, you went downstairs, you went to ask your security guard. Police, Zambia police, I'm told 4 or 6 are guarding you. What's so special about you? If not to play to the tune of the piper, in this case, Hakainde Hichilema and his government. We are watching you, Robert. And I feel so sorry that you, of all people, must be issuing threats. You have no right to issue such threats. In fact, for you, I think the jail is waiting for you. Because people like you, we must set an example for. We must make sure that we do not make politics in this country sink to the levels that you have driven them to. You are a very useless member of parliament, and you don't deserve to represent the people of Mafinga. And I am going to make sure, come 2026, we decampaign you and you don't go back to parliament. You belong in jail.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you very much. On the validity, authenticity of that document, I personally went to a very large extent, including speaking to some of the people that are mentioned in the document. I also verified when Robert Chaminga was in South Africa, where he stayed, I bothered to put the video, the audio into AI, not just one application, various applications. I'm glad that now even people like, from their side, you know, their own supporters, like Simon Mwat, today said, let's not say it's AI. Let's deal with the facts. There's a matter out there. That's what we need to do. There's another gentleman who lives here in the United States who supports President Hakainde Hichilema, George N. Mutonga. He also said he put it to AI, and it's not AI. There is a young man, Oliver Shalala, from what we call the M23. He says this is not AI, and I have no right to defend Chaminga. I work for Hichilema. So the authenticity of the audio is no longer in question. That's how serious this matter is. It is true. And like you are saying, if we had a serious government that follows the rule of law, first the president must have resigned. If not, the persons are mentioned and affected must have been arrested. But I'm glad that you spoke to this matter. Mr. President, I think in your address to the issues around this audio, it revealed character flaws in leadership, which you have attributed to. Just walk us to the current state of the country, what our people are going through, the type of leadership President Hakainde Hichilema is providing. Where are we at the moment?
A very important question. The Ambassador, our nation right now is at the crossroads, and we are in dire need of fresh ideas and fresh leadership. Unfortunately, the UPND under the leadership of Hakainde Hichilema is failing to provide that leadership. What is happening today is beyond redemption under the current regime, because Hakainde Hichilema has no plans for this country. You may want to know that just halfway through the year, we are already going for supplementary budgets to the tune of 36.6 billion, more money that is required to run this government. In other words, the government is broke. This is the government which is saying it's going to sell a bumper harvest of maize to the DRC. What contradictions? This is the same government which is saying it wants to push with Bill 7, which is an illegality, as named and pronounced by our Constitutional Court. Where is the money going to come from? For politics, they've got the money to run another 55 seats in parliament so that we have a parliament of 211. Where is the money coming from? When you are running supplementary budgets, when the economy is suffering, we are still suffering from load shedding. Many hours. The country is at a standstill in terms of production. Very few companies can afford gensets. We've got companies stealing electricity. We've got companies which are intermediaries. When we buy electricity from Mozambique, they sit in the middle and they sell the power to ZESCO at inflated price so that they can get more money. Same for fuel. We've got a company which has been given the monopoly to run our fuel supplies, but it is hitting the Zambians where industry is supposed to benefit. Power, in terms of energy, be it electricity or fuel, is the engine of industry. It is the engine of production. It is the engine of industries. We are failing to understand how the UPND is giving all these contracts and making the Zambians suffer. But the answer is simple. They are eating from these contracts. Politically, Hakainde Hichilema is introducing laws, media regulation laws, cyber laws, this law, that law, trying to push constitutional amendments. All this is intended to ensure that Zambians are given a shut up, so that Zambians begin to be fearful. Zambians begin to fear to speak. Zambians do not exercise their freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of movement, freedom of conscience, freedom of association. They want all these to be crippled. And then we've got the chairperson of the ECZ trying to tell us that regalia of another political party cannot be worn when you're campaigning for one other party. And she quotes so many laws. We know that all this is a setup to rigging. Let me ask the Zambians. According to the statement, for example, of one Mwangala Zalomis, chairperson of ECZ, she says we are looking to have another 3.5 million voters put on the voters roll. Right now, we've got 7 point something voters. We are looking to 10 point something million. Okay, fine. Where are those 3.5 million going to come from? Because right now, all we see is that you have no money as ECZ, delimitation has not taken place, and thirdly, and most importantly, the registration exercise for voters hasn't started. So where are the 3.5 million going to come from? This is a rigging machine. I have run elections for a long time. I can see rigging. I can smell rigging a mile away. Let me warn Mwangala Zalomis, my sister, don't get yourself on the wrong side of the law simply because you want to keep your job. Please do not find yourself on the wrong side of the law. We know what the population of this country is. Zamstax has already told us the population of this country. So if you want to increase registration of voters, especially in the strongholds of the UPND, when the people or those numbers do not exist, we shall come after you. Because these officers who have been given these portfolios think because the appointment came from Hakainde Hichilema as President of the Republic of Zambia, they are immune and therefore they cannot be prosecuted. You will be prosecuted if you are going to engage in criminal enterprise. You will be prosecuted. So I ask again, where are the 3.5 million extra voters going to come from? You want to psych the Zambians to believe that there's an extra 3.5 million Zambians somewhere coming, and therefore when the election results come, you say, we told you that we've got an additional 3.5 million. Where? We want to see all the registers of the electoral voters for the next elections 3-4 months before we go to voting. And we want to double check every polling station. We are going to ensure that we've got polling agents everywhere, monitors everywhere. We shall not be fooled. We are not, as opposition, in this game of politics to just compete. We are here to win. And we know how to win. Zambians, I want to assure you, I have run elections. I have gone to full length to understand how rigging works. UPND, tamwakaitambe bwino. Because I know that's the only formula you are relying on to rig. Because you know the ground has shifted. Imingala toyenu taile womba. And it won't work. But let me say this again. In terms of leadership, this failure to lead by Hakainde Hichilema is making him tremble. Talesenda motulo. Because now he can hear the footsteps of Tonse coming behind him. He's shaking. He's looking back and checking. Ishtana Ipwa. 4 years. What has he achieved? He has just achieved putting Kambwiri in prison, putting Bowman in prison, Chitotela in prison, Chilango in prison. If that's all your achievement, Bwana, I am telling you, the Zambians are fed up. It is time to pack up. So we as opposition, we are ready to lead. And we are ready to take over government. If you are not ready to leave, go with that seat. We are bringing another seat. Because we are winning these elections. The next elections we are beating you. And rigging won't work. So in a nutshell, the ambassador, we have failure of leadership under the UPND. The economy is in shambles. Medical supplies, useless. The theft of medicines is everywhere. We should thank the Americans and especially the Ambassador Michael Gonzalez for bringing out the statistics and figures of corruption. Today, we know that the corruption figures in the UPND exceed 600%. We know that tax evasion under the UPND exceeds 500%. We know that medicines have been stolen. We know that the $20 million the Americans gave us to buy maize from Tanzania, that maize has not arrived. We know all the scandals. We have been told that $3 billion takes flight out of this country annually. And here we are, going to borrow 1.3 billion from the IMF, which is staggered over 5 years. Are we being serious? Is that leadership? So we understand the scandals are there. And we shall ensure, Zambians, mark my words, we shall ensure that whoever is responsible for inflicting this amount of pain, this amount of suffering on the Zambians, is taken to book. The law is blind. and it will visit all those in the corridors of power today. They shall be answerable to the Zambian people. Tuachula sana, and we cannot allow this to go on.
Thank you, and I like that clear thoughtfulness. But one of the things which you had earlier alluded to, President Hakainde Hichilema is entrenching tyranny, is entrenching dictatorship. He's trying very hard to control all wings of government, parliament with Nelly Muti, the judiciary, and he's also tried very hard to control the Electoral Commission of Zambia. This sometimes puts our people in exasperation with that tight grip he's putting on these democratic institutions, turning them to be his institution instead of institutions of the Constitution. What would you say to Zambians that are concerned? You said we know how to win elections despite, an incumbent president trying to tighten or steal that election. My second question is your sounding of the alarm that Mwangala Zalomis is determined to bring another 3.5 million people on the register. Many people would say in 2021, 7.5 were registered, but only 4 million turned up to vote. People would think that Mwangala Zalomis would devote her time to ensure that we beat the voter apathy that affected the 2021 elections. But she actually wants to increase by another 3.5 million people. I think those are good issues. Maybe first attend to this tyrannies, use the cyber laws. Our people are very concerned. When you open the phone lines, you hear everyone wants to remain anonymous. They are afraid to say who they are when they speak on public platform. To the extent to which he has come to the opposition, to all of you, where he's trying to clamp you down, jail you before time, or cripple you before time. All these threats sometimes give the people of Zambia a sense of hopelessness that maybe, their efforts will be in vain. Please speak to that issue.
Thank you, Ambassador. Very serious points there. Let me begin with the tyranny that you referred to, or indeed this dictatorship in the making. I want to assure my fellow Zambians that as Zambia must prosper and a member of the Tonse Alliance and as its leader, I want you all the Zambians to know that I am not afraid of Hakainde Hichilema. I want that to sink. I am not afraid of Hakainde Hichilema. I know him. Number two, I'm not afraid of any criminal case against me because I have none. Three, I want you, my fellow Zambians, to know that every law that Hakainde has put in place, which you feel is suffocating you, we are going to ensure that those laws are repealed immediately when we get into office. So what you should not do is to sit and wait and say you do nothing. You have the power to vote this government out of office. Vote us into office and we shall repeal those laws. That's my promise. Hakainde, if you've gone back to the videos, that he was going to repeal cyber laws, he has increased them. He promised that he was going to do away with regulation of the media. He has brought it back. Because he has been democracy. The guy is building a dictatorship. Now we, as Zambians, can only allow him at our own peril. So let us not be afraid. Remember what the Bible is telling us. Fear not, my fellow Zambians. Fear not. Hakainde muntu fear. Beyond that, the party of Yagi, the law, we can change our. We in Condolences and Zambia Must Prosper in particular are telling you, we need your support, we need your help to get power. The only way democratically we change government is you wake up, go and vote this government power, that authority. We shall change the laws and repeal them. But don't just vote for me as president or any one of my friends who is there to lead you. No. Give us enough number parliament because we need the numbers to change the laws. So I shall repeat. This is your hope. Your hope is in the power of the vote that you possess. Register as a voter if registered. If you are already a registered voter, keep your NRC and your voter's card on the sidelines. As Dennis Liwewe would say, Zambia is warming the player, and the player is your voter's card. It's your NRC, Bwana. Keep it alive. Keep it alive. Because we know this is how we're going to score. We need to score in 2026. Hakainde Hichilema is hopeless. He's scared. He's more scared than me. He's scared, and that's why he wants to move the fear to you. I am here to tell you, fear not. We are here. Some of us are prepared to sacrifice ourselves for you. Do not be afraid. In the book, never to be afraid of the being. Makasha kwetu kwa bulaifwe. Tapali, muntu fye. So these laws must not frighten you. In fact, they must be your motivation to wake up in huge numbers to go and vote this government out of power so that you put in a government that is going to ensure that the laws are repealed, the laws that you don't want. Secondly, are playing a game of hide and seek. They don't know how to attack the Zambians except to instill fear, threats, and intimidation. Historically, go back to our forefathers. Ask yourselves, if our forefathers were scared of the white Muzungu colonialists, were we going to liberate this country? The answer is no. So
Mr. President, just a minute. Your network seems to be buffering, but we must be okay. Before we open the phone lines, I want you to speak to the issue of the opposition. There is Tonse Alliance. There is United Kwacha Alliance. There is the Zambia We Want. Then there are other people, prominent personalities outside these alliances. What are you doing as the opposition? Are you just locked in Tonse Alliance? Are there efforts to reach out, for example, to political parties that may not be in the alliance, like the Socialist Party or Citizen First? Are you coordinating civil society, NGOs, the church, labor unions? How are you, in your capacity, as Zambia Must Prosper, a member of Tonse Alliance, are you reaching out to the others?
A very important question, Ambassador. The Zambians. We began a process of talking. We know that we may have some teething problems, especially after the death of our 6th Republican president, who was our chairperson. But we have experience. Been through this. Remember when Vasata died, we faced a crisis as well. So some of us know how to navigate these currents and ensure that we come to a consensus. Now that we are getting back to reorganization, we are going to be calling for meetings so that we begin talking. We also need to understand that Tonse was entrenched under the leadership of ECL, the late president. But now we need fresh leadership. We can't dwell in the past for too long. Zambia needs a fresh start. Zambia needs fresh leadership. Zambia needs fresh hope. And that's what they provide. So, our friends and those who are outside are realizing that they can't work alone. I'm glad I heard recently my young brother, President Kalaba, was saying that he would like to join an alliance of sorts and wants to work with people of like minds. That's the way to go. I know that the party candidate in Mfue for whatever reasons, but at an appointed time we shall engage. There are other political parties like we may need to engage them. However, in any alliance system that we are going to propose, we don't need to be at 100% as opposition coming together. And I believe this is the thinking of my other fellow members in Tonse. If we can reach 70-80% of unison, we are able to win an election. That I know. We may reach 100% in terms of unity or come together, but at the table, there may be too many egos. Some form of toxicity may emerge. Other differences may emerge. We just want people of like minds. We want people who are going to believe in the beliefs that ECL, late former President Sata, and the pro-poor policies that we had for the Zambian. Those are the people who have come to the. That's what we believe in. We want to win these elections. And sometimes coming together means one thing, that we should put aside our egos. We should put aside personal differences. Things, if they come to the table, they'll pollute the atmosphere. Instead of focusing on winning an election, we'll be focusing on positions. That what we do. Whatever we want to bring to Tonse, we must find people of like minds and people who understand what we believe in Tonse and what we stand for. Slowly, we are getting there. And I can assure the Zambians, in the next few months, we shall get there. And what they're looking for in terms of leadership, they shall soon get.
This is DJ Mutati exclusive.
Alright, that's all for you today, lovely viewers. If you did enjoy the video, please don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about the video you just watched in the comment section below. I'll be super glad to hear from you, lovely viewers. Once again, I go by the name of Mutati Mpundu. I love you, peace, I gotta go.